All right, let's talk about code review. For so many of us developers, it's just the biggest bottleneck there is, right? But what if you could have an AI that's not just a fancy syntax checker? What if it acted like a senior engineer, someone who already knows your code base inside and out? Well, that's the big promise from a tool called Greptile AI. And today, we're going to dig in and see what it's all about.
So if you're a dev, I'm willing to bet you've used some kind of AI assistant or code reviewer. And I bet you've also felt that little hint of, is that it? They're super powerful, no doubt, but something just feels incomplete. They're missing something really, really important. You know what I mean?
And that's exactly it. That's the problem. Most of these AI tools are basically wearing blinders. They can see the couple of lines of code you just changed, but they have no clue about the rest of the project. It's like they're peeking through a keyhole when what you really need is the full panoramic view.
So let's really unpack that. What is the fundamental problem here? Why do these blinders even exist? And what kind of impact does it have on the quality of the feedback you're actually getting from these AI tools?
And this slide, wow, it just lays out the problem perfectly. See, on the left, you have the diff. That's just the few lines of code that you changed. And that's what pretty much every AI tool out there looks at. But then you look to the right, and that's your entire code base. It's this giant, tangled web of files and logic. And if the AI doesn't get that big picture, how on earth is it supposed to know that your tiny change over here is going to cause a massive headache way over there? It just can't.
And this is exactly where Greptile says it's changing the game. The entire idea is built around ripping those blinders off. It's about creating an AI that sees the whole picture, just like a seasoned human engineer would.
So what even is it? Well, Greptile is an AI code review agent. It plugs right into your workflow on GitHub or GitLab, which is great. But the key thing to focus on is that analogy. They don't call it a linter or a syntax checker. They call it an AI staff engineer. The idea is that it acts like a senior member of your team who's already up to speed on the entire project.
And what does this AI staff engineer do all day? Well, for starters, it automatically reviews your pull requests. But, and this is the important part, it does it with the full context of the entire repository in its memory. This is what lets it find those sneaky bugs, those potential security holes, and those really deep logic errors that a simple diff checker will just sail right past. Oh, and then it gives you a suggested fix you can apply with just one click. Now, that all sounds amazing, but how? How does it actually get that deep level of understanding? It's not magic, right? Turns out, there's a very specific and pretty powerful approach to how it analyzes your code. Let's pop the hood.
The secret sauce here is something called a codebase knowledge graph. Honestly, the best way to picture it is like a super detailed map of your entire project. Greptile isn't just seeing a folder full of files. It's actually mapping out how every single piece connects to every other piece.
And this map is incredibly detailed. The graph literally understands how functions call each other, which classes inherit from other classes, how different modules depend on one another. It even knows where old deprecated functions are still being used deep inside the codebase. I mean, this is the kind of institutional knowledge that usually only lives inside a senior developer's head after years on the project.
Okay, so you've got an AI with a perfect living map of your code. What's the payoff? What do you actually get out of it? Well, the immediate result is just a much, much higher quality of code review, which naturally leads to merging pull requests way faster and with a lot more confidence.
Just look at the kinds of things it can check for. Because it has that full context, it's not just looking for syntax errors. We're talking about subtle logic flaws, major security risks like SQL injection, potential performance bottlenecks. It even gets into architectural suggestions, like pointing out repeated code that you could probably turn into a nice, clean, shared function.
And the way it gives you feedback is super practical. It's broken down into 3 layers. First, you get a high-level summary of the whole pull request, what it's for and what its impact might be. Then, you get specific, inline comments right on the lines of code that need work. And finally, you get those one-click suggestions to just apply the fix right then and there. It's really designed to help everyone, from the most junior dev to the team lead.
And here's where it gets really cool. It's interactive. You can actually talk to it. Right in a GitHub comment, you can just tag @Greptile AI and ask it a question like, hey, does this change follow our team's coding standards? And it'll give you an answer. It's pretty wild.
Of course, for any professional team, a tool can be the cleverest thing in the world. But if it's not secure and it doesn't fit your workflow, it's a non-starter. So let's talk about the practical stuff: customization, security, and how it plays with all the other tools you're already using. One of the huge selling points is how it adapts to your team. You can give it your internal style guides and architecture docs, and it will actually enforce your custom rules in its reviews. Plus, it hooks into tools like Jira and Notion, so it understands the why behind the code from the ticket. It can even connect to Sentry or Datadog to see if a change might be related to a known production bug.
Okay, let's get to the big one, the question every engineering manager is asking right now. What about security? This table breaks it down really nicely. First off, they're fully SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, which is huge. The cloud version, it doesn't even store your code long-term. And for companies that need to lock things down tight, there's a 100% self-hosted option you can run completely in your own environment. You can tell they really put some serious thought into this.
So, let's pull all this back together. We've seen how it works, we've seen what it does. The real question is this thing actually ready to be the next member of your engineering team?
The promise here really isn't about just another tool. It's about being a productivity multiplier for your whole team. The idea is, by catching more bugs before they hit production, and by helping you merge PRs way faster, it just cuts down on all that engineering overhead from code review. And the result? A code base that's cleaner, safer, and just easier to work with. And that really brings us to the big final question, doesn't it? This goes way beyond just Greptile. It's about where software development itself is going. Think about it. Is an AI teammate one that has perfect instant knowledge of your entire project's history? Is that just a cool new toy? Or is it about to become the new standard for how every dev team works? Now that is a fascinating thought to chew on.